We're looking again at the book of Daniel and the story about Daniel and his friends as they go to Babylon, as they explore life in a very, very different world. And it reminds me a little bit of the situation we live in at the moment with having dealt with COVID-19. I'm just in the indoor market in Bristol. It's eerily quiet. Businesses trying to restart, working out how to do things. Different environment, different times, different situation. And isn't that true of the book of Daniel as well? The way in which people experience different times, a different environment, different atmosphere, new rules, new ways of doing things. And looking at Daniel chapter 2, and the interesting thing, after the first test of whether they were going to eat food offered to idols, whether they were trying to keep themselves pure and trust God about the outcomes of that. And in Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. It's a very frightening dream. It causes a great political upheaval, personal crisis for him, and therefore his advisors and all the people he would seek guidance from in different ways spiritually, and would seem to have some kind of revelation and understanding of things. They don't seem to be able to help him with this process, dealing with this dream, and it puts a great crisis on Daniel and his friends as well. So everybody's in a very, very frightening and very uncertain situation. They don't know what will happen. Things will change for them. The circumstances are going to be different for them, and their lives are really under some kind of threat, really, because if people don't interpret the dream that Nebuchadnezzar has had and they explain it to him, then they may not escape with their own life. So Daniel's threatened by this, his friends are, and all the other advisors are. So Daniel speaks to his boss, tries to understand what's going on in the situation, and then it says in Daniel 2 verse 15, he speaks with wisdom and tact. And my prayer today really is that God would give us wisdom and tact. Isn't that something that we would want to have? Isn't it something that we struggle with? I mean, I do. Knowing the right thing to say, as Proverbs talks about, apples of gold in settings of silver, a word in season, is something really precious. James 3 in the New Testament talks about a time when we can sort of be allowing our tongue to be used like a forest fire, and just a little spark that starts the forest fire, that sets things alight, that just begins to end up uncontrollable, and the outcomes are way, way beyond what we had expected. So it's not easy to stop a forest fire, is it? It's okay to calm down a spark, do that quickly, but once it gets out of control, once it's on the loose, the impact, the devastation are out of control very often, and trying to sort that out is a big challenge for the fire department. So we just want to pray today that God would give us wisdom and tact in the things that we say, that we would be able to bridle our tongue, as the Bible says. That's my prayer for all of us, that in days that it's very easy in social media, it's very easy in reactive ways to just bite back and say stuff and hit out, and we've got everything to gain in our mind by saying something, and of course we tend to lose a lot by saying something. Sometimes there's a time to speak and there's a time to be silent, Ecclesiastes very wisely says. So my prayer today is that we would have wisdom and tact, that we would have a understanding about how to speak in these difficult times, where it's very easy to have a quick word to say about this and a quick word to say about that, and an opinion about COVID, an opinion about racial tension, an opinion about anything that comes across our social media feed, anything that comes through the media, quick opinions. That's always what people are expecting, quick reactions. But we know that in the wider world, we know in the political world, quick reactions, quick tweets, quick sort of statements, quick sound bites can be easily misunderstood. They have to be thought through. We need wisdom, don't we? We need great wisdom with what we say and how we say it. And of course, this is a journey. This is always a learning curve for us. We recognise sometimes we might say the wrong thing, and we have to try and work through the outcomes of that and try and sort out any misunderstandings. And that's part of life. And even difficult conflicts are not impossible to resolve. But my prayer today is that we would have great wisdom and tact